Here is your review for the quiz. We have a little bit of everything going on here except for addition, but we have rational expressions being multiplied, divided, subtracted, and our rational equations, okay? So please pause the video, have students work through this as a bell ringer, and then play the video after 5 to 7 minutes to show the solutions, and then hand out the quiz, okay? So the first problem here, we need to factor and cancel, okay? So this right here is going to factor to 2x minus 3, 2x plus 3. That would be called the difference of squares pattern, okay? And then we don't have anything else that factors, it doesn't look like, but remember what I said we should do if we have a negative variable, okay, if our higher power variable is negative. Well, we probably want to factor out a negative and flip stuff around. So if I factor out a -1, I can flip that around like that, okay? And now we're ready to cancel things, okay? So multiplication, you can cross cancel, you can cancel from top to bottom. You can kind of get cancel happy here. So the 2x plus 3 cancels with that one down there. 2y minus 3 cancels with that one down there, and I have a -1 left as well as a 2x minus 3. I don't care if you leave your solution like that if you want to. It looks a little cleaner if we do it like this, but either one of those will be sufficient, okay? So remember that little trick, if we have things that look fairly close like those two things, that you want to factor out that negative. Right, so I can take out that negative and flip stuff around. Don't forget about that trick. Second one, more difference of squares patterns going on. This one is 4x minus 3, 4x plus 3. And it's division. So that means this one is going to flip. Okay, so let's just write the x plus 1 up here, and I'm just going to kind of, well, I'll leave that there. We'll factor that and write it down below. So my x plus 1 is moving to the top, and then this stuff is going to be factored and written down here. Okay? So 16x squared plus 12x plus 9. 16 and 9 are both perfect squares, so it is going to be 4x plus 3, 4x plus 3. So that's our rewritten rational function there. And now we can start canceling stuff. So I have a 4x minus 3 here and here. I have a 4x plus 3 here and here. So all that I'm left with is the x plus 1 on top there, and that other 4x plus 3. And that is all. Next one down below. I think this is the same one that we had in class previously. But if we are simplifying with subtraction, just like the last two problems, first thing you want to do is factor. So we can factor the denominator here and factor the denominator here. So I'm taking a 3 out of this one, and I'm taking, or sorry, a 2 out of that one, and a 3 out of this one here to factor to get that and that. Now I need to identify my common denominator. So the x minus 6 is the same. So we don't really have to worry about that binomial there. Okay? We do have a 2 and a 3. So we need to get that to be a 6. So I'm going to multiply this one by a 3. And that would distribute. And I'm going to multiply this one by a 2. And that would distribute as well. But with the 2, the negative goes along with it. Okay? Don't forget that. So let's distribute here. Boom, boom. And then we will combine like terms in the numerator. So we have 3x plus 15 minus 2x minus 4. That's what's in our numerator. Okay, that's just everything up in the top. So simplify from there. 3x minus 2x is just an x. 15 minus 4 is 11. And our denominator will be 6. X minus 6. And remember, you don't need to multiply the denominator in there. You can if you want to. I'll accept either answer, but you can leave it as factored. That way you possibly see any factors because remember here, if we ended up getting something like this, so look for a different option here. If we ended up getting x, let's say, let me fix that again here, x minus 6 on the top, and then we had 6, x minus 6 on the bottom, then you see that this automatically would cancel out, and then you would have 1/6 for the solution. Okay? So don't forget that that could possibly happen in the end. You may need to factor in the end and see that something cancels. Don't forget that. Okay, the last one here we're going to go through is a rational equation. So we know it's an equation because it has an equal sign. The other ones were just simplifying expressions. Okay, so these ones we're actually going to have an x equals something when we are done. There could be one answer, there could be two answers as we saw in the lesson. So we have x minus 1, an x minus 1. So we're going to need a little bit of both here. We're going to need this and this in the denominator. We're going to need both an x and an x minus 1. Okay, so let's make it happen. So here we need to get an x, and then here we need an x minus 1, and then here we're going to need an x. And remember, after we get that common denominator down there, we forget about it and we just work on the top, because that's going to end up canceling out. Because remember, the other option that I did would have been to multiply by this. Some people appreciate it that way over the other. Okay, so let's work on the top now. Bottom canceled out, so we got x squared here. Okay, right, that one's x squared. And then this one's going to give me that negative goes with the 2. Negative 2x plus 2 equals just an x over there. So remember, when we have an x squared and an x in the equation floating around there, that you're going to have to factor to get your answers. So when you factor, you set everything equal to 0. So I have to move the x all the way, or move all the x's and the numbers to the left. So I got x squared minus 3x plus 2 equals 0. And I can go ahead and factor that, because it's what two numbers multiply to 2 and add to 3. That would be x minus 2, x minus 1 equals 0. My two solutions will be x equals 2 and x equals 1. All right, but there was one last thing that we needed to do. Check for extraneous solutions. You heard that before. That just means that's a fancy way to say check your answers. Okay? If we take any one of those numbers that we just found, the 2 or the 1, and plug them in, does one of them not work? That one right here does not work. So that is not a solution, because it gives us an undefined value in the equation. So this right here is our only solution. Okay? So you have now had some review for the quiz. Hopefully you are prepared, or a little bit more prepared than you were previously. Okay, so now you'll have the quiz. After the quiz, you want to go to Google Classroom to find what you need to do next. Okay, there's a worksheet that will be passed out after the quiz, and you will have some more information or some links to go to in Google Classroom to see if you can kind of figure out the lesson we're going to go through next. Okay, so good luck. Email me if you have any questions over the weekend.